Hey, how's it going everyone? This is the Anime Man, and welcome to my first impressions video for the Winter 2016 anime season. So this season, there are quite a few anime that I'm watching to make up for the lack of anime that I watched in last year in 2015. And so, since the majority of the first episodes and some of the second episodes are already up for the current season of the Winter 2016, I thought I would give you guys my first impressions. I asked you guys over on Facebook and Twitter if you wanted to see a first reactions or first impressions video, and you guys overwhelmingly said yes, so here we go. We got 16 freaking series to go through, so let's just get straight into it. So the first series is based off a manga series that I am a huge fan of. It's super freaking awesome, but I think I was a little bit disappointed with it, and that's Ajin. Only reason why I'm disappointed with it is because it's full 3D animation. Some series it works well with, while others not so much, and unfortunately with Ajin, it just didn't work that much. Some of you guys tweeted at me saying that the reason they might have made it into a 3D animation is because the original manga series had a lot more of a realistic look to it, which I don't think is a very liable reason because, I mean, the Aku no Hana anime adaptation, which I think is brilliant by the way, was also done in a realistic art style, but they decided to stick with 2D, which actually worked really well. And I think Ajin could have done the exact same thing, as it also has a lot of dark elements like Aku no Hana. Other than that though, the tension and suspense was pretty good, the pacing was pretty decent, voice acting was pretty much spot on, but just something about that 3D animation, man. If you haven't read the manga, by the way, I definitely recommend it. If you're not a big fan of 3D animation, I suggest you just go read the manga. Otherwise, I think you might be wasting your time with this one. The second series for this season is Ansatsu Kyoushitsu or Assassination Classroom Season 2. Now, I'm personally a big fan of the manga series and also of the first season, and so I was really excited when they announced Season 2 rather quickly actually, because Season 1 only aired about 2 seasons ago, so, you know, I guess there was a big supply and demand for this series, which I'm really not surprised about. Unlike Season 1, Season 2 really started off a lot more lighthearted, a lot more slice of life, school life kind of feeling to it, and the comedy, by the way, is spot on. I fucking lost it on episode 2 when they made a very timely reference to Odoru Daisou Sasen, which I cried laughing. That was so unexpected and so funny. But it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to develop the story even further with Koro Sensei. You know, we might learn a bit more information about Koro Sensei, what kind of character he is exactly, and how the students are going to develop within that plot. So I'm looking forward to this one. Third series of this season is, I think, going to be the best series of this season, and that is Boku Dake ga Inai Machi. Oh my god, the first 2 episodes, man, it's just solid story, solid plot development, solid character development, a solid motive for the plot. It's not just a bunch of plot devices and plot conveniences strung out in this weak story. No, the story is set, the motive is set, we know what the main character wants, we know how the main character is going to do it, and we're going to explore other characters that may play a part into this very strong story. The slight criticism I can give to Boku Dake ga Inai Machi is the art style and the animation. I wasn't a big fan of it, to be honest. I mean, there were, I guess, other ways that they could have done it, but I'm pretty sure it's just a getting used to it kind of thing. But definitely by the end of episode 2, you're already invested in the characters, and the plot is actually moving at rather a fast pace, but it doesn't seem to be an off pace, if that makes sense. Either way, I love this kind of mystery, suspense, time traveling, murder shit, so, oh man, this series is going to be fucking awesome. Fourth series of this season is Bubuki Buranki. Now, much like Ajin, this is yet again another full 3D animation, but I think it just works better than Ajin. Something about the character design and the actual setting of the plot, I think just works much better with 3D animation. I think 3D animation only really works if it's set in like a sci-fi fantasy, you know, some kind of setting that is put away from like the real life setting, which unfortunately Ajin follows. It doesn't have the most unique story or the unique set of characters. I mean, like, I found a slight problem with them kind of underdeveloping the actual characteristics of each character before moving on through the story. But this is, as I said, only episode 2, so it'll be interesting to see how they do develop that and how the story does develop. By the way, the opening is fucking boss. I love it. Fifth series of this season is Dagashi Kashi. Now, if I could explain Dagashi Kashi in one word, it would be weird. I've seen a lot of weird anime out there, but just the concept of the story and the comedic sense of this series is weird. I could definitely see some problems with this plot, kind of excluding the people who haven't really grown up in Japan and this kind of old Japanese culture, or don't have a lot of knowledge with the Japanese culture. As I was watching it, I could definitely see a lot of jokes that would just pass by the heads of a lot of viewers out there. It doesn't have the most unique set of characters or the most unique story, but again, this is a very kind of slice of life comedy style, so the story is pretty much irrelevant. Like, these kinds of series aren't story focused, so I'm not going to criticize on the story or the lack thereof anyway. But the animation and art style is pretty freaking quirky and funny, so it's going to be just a lighthearted series that I think I'm going to enjoy. The 6th series of this season is Dimension W. This is again your typical sci-fi fantasy kind of series, which has a little bit of a twist of cyberpunk from what I saw. Is it just me, or does the main character remind you of Mugen from Samurai Champloo, and the main, I guess, antagonist, the mask guy, kind of reminds me a little bit of Zero from Code Geass. Not that I'm saying that's a bad thing. I mean, I love both of those kind of characteristics, and it's cool to see those two different characters kind of clash together in episode 2. Other than that though, the animation, art style, story, characters, not the most amazing thing ever, but it's still good nonetheless. 7th series of this season is Divine Gate. Now, it wasn't until after episode 2 that I actually found out this is based off a mobile game of the same name. Just from looking at the plot and the characters and everything, I honestly thought it was based off a light novel series, because it has your typical, you know, light novel characters and light novel plot, you know, the typical fantasy, sci-fi, action kind of series. I definitely did sense a bit of a edginess factor to the main character, and also to just the whole motive of the main character. And then one of you guys on Twitter pointed out that it was directed by the same guy who did Yu Yu Hakusho and Bleach, so I was like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. I was just so disappointed when they decided to incorporate 3D animation in the fighting scenes and then rapidly switching between 2D and 3D animation. Like, that shit is fucking noticeable, dude, and it is off-putting. You either stick to 3D or you stick to 2D, don't mix the two, especially in rapid succession. It's just, it takes away from the battle. As a side note, this series has the best opening of the season, hands down. 8th series of this season is Haito Gensou no Grimgar. This is, again, your typical getting stuck in a game for real and having to try and get out, but with a bit of a twist. Unlike most hybrids of this getting stuck in a video game for real, like SAO and Log Horizon, they start off this series with them not even knowing that they're stuck in a game, let alone not even understanding the concept of things like games and the real life, which I thought was a fresh take on the genre. I mean, it's not the most exciting plot or the exciting set of characters. In fact, the characters, there's so many characters that were dumped onto our screen on the first episode, which I guess served as quite a bit of importance. I mean, the main party already has like 8 people in it, and they're seriously underdeveloped so far, so it's kind of hard to build a connection to them with the first episode, which is very important for first episodes of anime, I believe. Let alone, the pacing was a little bit too quick for my feeling. Like, I think they could have stretched it a bit more and developed the characters a lot more to kind of get us excited for the next episode and excited to see where they're going. But again, this is only the first episode. They might change it around the second episode. I just hope it doesn't end up like another SAO. The 9th series of this season is HaruChika, Chika wa Seishun Suru. And I'd have to say, I think this series has one of the most unique stories and unique plot extensions of this season. At first I thought it was going to be just your typical, you know, high school slice of life crossed with music. So I instantly thought, oh, this is going to be exactly like Tari Tari, or all of any of those other like music related ones like K-On! But then they threw in some mystery into that, and they threw in some coming of age aspects into that, so I'm like, oh wow, now it's like Tari Tari crossed with Hyoka. I mean, the main character Haru is pretty much the main character of Hyoka, just in a different skin. And he's homosexual and has a love interest with the main heroine. Figure that shit out. But I'm digging it. I liked Tari Tari, I liked Hyoka, and to see the two kind of cross together into this little bit more coming of age, you know, comedic style, slice of lifestyle is really cool, and it's really fresh. I actually really like it, so I'm looking forward to the next couple of episodes. The 10th series of this season is Kono Subarashii Sekai ni Shukufuku wo. Once again, this is another one of those getting stuck in a game in real life, but the main character is actually dead. But unlike SAO, Log Horizon, and Haito Gensou no Grimgar of this season, Kono Subarashii Sekai ni Shukufuku wo takes that getting stuck in a video game trope and takes it more in a comedic parody style. Like, that first episode used like every single like trope or cliche of like MMORPGs and took it more in a comedic sense, or at least that's what they tried to do. I think that first episode was just a little bit weak, and the second half of the first episode just had really weird pacing. Like, it's like they jumped like fucking 5 episodes, and it's like, whoa, hey, you're not gonna explain all the shit that just happened in all these flashbacks? Like, come on, it would have been nice to see some development. So again, this isn't the strongest series of this season, but you know, next couple of episodes might prove me wrong. 11th series of this season is Koyomimonogatari, which I'm just going to briefly say, you know, Monogatari series, I think 9th season, and it follows all of these stories going from the beginning of the timeline to the end of the timeline following the eyes of Koyomi. It's just cool to see all these characters again, like Senjo Gahara and Oshino Meme, just, you know, interacting with Araragi, and, you know, it's not going to, like, really develop more on the plot. This is, to be fair, kind of a filler season, but it's kind of cool to see all these characters come back again and interacting with Araragi again, so I'm a sucker for the Monogatari series. What can I say? The 12th series of this season is Luck and Logic. Now, the story and characters of this series is just, if I were to say in one word, it would be meh. Pacing is absolutely horrible, and the plot conveniences are real. Like, the little sister saying, like, no, don't go, and then 3 seconds later he's saying, like, yeah, you can go, but just make sure you come back alive. Like, bruh, there's only been 2 episodes, but already there's just been these huge information dumps on the viewers, so it's kind of hard to follow what the fuck is going on exactly. But, I mean, Athena is personally pretty cute, so I guess I can let this series slide for the time being, but so far, I'm not really digging it. 13th series of this season is Musaigen the Phantom World, which for some reason is the most popular series of this season, but I'm probably gonna break a lot of hearts when I say I am not digging this series at all. Which is disappointing because it's done by Kyoto Animation, and most of the stuff that Kyoto Animation has done, with a few exceptions, have been pretty freaking good. But unfortunately, the animation and art style of Kyoto Animation is the only redeeming factor in this story. Because I can even sense that the series itself doesn't know which direction it wants to go. It doesn't know whether it wants to go in a school, you know, romantic comedy sense, or if it wants to go in a sci-fi action, like, story-based sense. And second episode had the most horrible pacing that I've ever seen. It's just like, whoa, what? But I mean, you know, you can't hate the fan service. I mean, you know, hashtag titty limbo, am I right? The 14th series of this season is Prince of Stride Alternative, which is a parkour-based anime, and I wanted to check it out because it was done by Madhouse, which haven't really disappointed me in the past. Now, so far this is okay, once again. Like, the animation is fucking brilliant, as expected from Madhouse, but the episode 2 pacing was like, holy shit, did I miss like 5 or 6 episodes? Where the hell did the story go? Because between episode 1 and episode 2, there's been just this huge gap of character development, I feel, because at the end of episode 1, all the characters had no idea who each other were, you know, what kind of personality they had. And at the start of episode 2, it's like they've been friends for like 3 years. Like, what did I miss? But the comedy's pretty nice, and the character development is, okay. Story isn't the most fantastic because, I mean, you know, it is based on sports anime. Most of them don't really have fantastic stories, unless you're talking about Slam Dunk. But I'm still gonna keep watching this series because, you know, I'm a sucker for Madhouse, and, like, you know, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's not good. It might get better, it might get worse. Only time will tell. The 15th series of this season is Saijyaku Muhai no Bahamut. And can I just say, throughout the entire first episode, I was laughing my ass off at how bad this shit is. This is like every sci-fi action, comedy, ecchi, romance, light novel, the anime. The characters are some of the most unoriginal characters I've ever seen. Main character is already boring as shit. The suits and the robots that are shown in the first episode is almost at a lawsuit level copy of Infinite Stratos. And the pacing and unnecessary fan service in the first episode was just like, you fucking serious? I'm just gonna keep watching this anime just so I can point out all the cliches and just bad decisions that they decided to take this anime. But if you want to enjoy yourself, then I suggest skipping over this one. And the 16th and final anime of this season is Shoujo-tachi wa Kouya o Mezasu, which I wasn't really too sure at first because the concept sounded, you know, kind of interesting and new. A bunch of people starting a club to make a bunch of visual novels, or I guess maybe erogays. I don't know how they're gonna take the direction, but we're gonna have to find out. And when I saw Tanaka Romeo's name in the credits, I was like, okay, that makes sense. If you guys don't know, Tanaka Romeo, before becoming an author, used to be an erogay writer. He's also the author of Jinryu wa Suitai Shimashita, which is, again, another great novel and anime. But I think this anime is gonna be very lighthearted with the story, as it is very lighthearted with its comedy and kind of slice of life coming of age elements. The characters, not the most interesting characters. Story, again, not the most interesting, but, you know, it's better to look at this in the eyes as it is, you know, lighthearted. It's better to not really focus more on the story, but just kind of enjoy the ride as they develop through their characters and their school life and their era game making life. So if you guys like your light-hearted, you know, school life, comedy, slice of life, coming of age anime, then definitely check this one out. Anyways guys, that's it for my winter 2016 anime season first impressions. You can catch some of these anime as they air from Japan straight away by going over to crunchyroll.com/animeman and experiencing a 30-day free trial of Crunchyroll's premium membership, where you can experience ad-free 1080p anime pretty much as soon as they come out in Japan. And if the 30-day runs out but you still like it, it's only $6.95 for a month premium membership, and you get to experience 1080p ad-free anime. That's pretty good if you ask me. So make sure to click that first link in the description below if you'd like to try out your 30-day free trial. Guys, let me know as well what you thought about my first impressions in the comments below. What series are you watching that you are enjoying? What series have you checked out that you're not such a big fan of? And what do you think are going to be some of the best and or worst anime of this season? Anyways guys, thanks for watching. As always, like and favorite if you enjoy. Subscribe for any banner, and I'll see you guys next video of whatever I make. Keep watching anime. Ciao!